Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and I'm here checking out Spider Rite of the Shrouded Moon. That's a weird name, I gotta say, just a really strange one. But, as you can tell, at least by the main part of the title, it's about being a spider in many different places in a tiny... Well, it's an estate, so it's not exactly a tiny place, but still, it's fairly small. This is the main menu, of course, and this main menu is a little weird. You use either the touchscreen or the shoulder buttons to navigate it, and you can go have a look around specific things. Like, we've got what's basically a bestiary here of all the shit that I've gone and eaten. And it's pretty neat, because I've got an absolute ton of different types of insects, because the majority of this game's gameplay is about trapping and eating insects, because you're a fucking spider. If that wasn't entirely obvious, then I have a bridge to sell you. That's not relevant in the slightest. Notably, every main area in this game has a bunch of what they call mysteries, and they've got clues. And you use these clues to solve the mysteries, which is entirely interesting. Like, it's a neat idea. You go around the levels, you look for the clues, and then you use the clues to solve the mysteries. I haven't actually been able to solve one yet, because the only one requires, like, a modicum of musical talent, and I'm about as deaf as anyone can get. But the idea is, in the south of the mansion, it tells you about a set of music, it tells you about an organ, and it tells you, it has some, what's the word I'm looking for here, notes for you to play. So I assume, if you play the right notes in the right order, and then go to whatever the hell this is, you'll get whatever the secret is, which is kind of neat. All the levels also have, like, secrets hidden in them as well. So, there's a bunch of sort of, like, diving around looking for stuff that you can do in this game. It's not like it's entirely hard. Like, a bunch of the secrets I found just by stumbling upon them, and that's pretty much how they expect you to find them in the first place. But it's still a pretty cool idea nonetheless. You've also got different spider types, but I haven't unlocked any of these yet. I imagine these are, like, tied to some of the trophies. And the thing about the trophy list in this game is that, well, it's mainly challenge-based, for the most part. Like, there's no... Well, there's only a handful, a tiny handful, of challenges that are... What's the word I'm looking for? Challenges that are, like, stat-based. Like, eat 30... Yeah, swat 50 houseflies. There's only a handful of them. So, yeah, I mean, trap every bug and eat none of them. That's hard. Build a web while maintaining a 5x web multiplier. I don't even know how you do that. Yeah, eat an insect exactly at midnight. It's just some mostly weird stuff about doing some weird shit in-game. And to be fair, that's way more of an interesting trophy list than your typical sort of game. Of course, there's a high score list, and unfortunately you're redirected to this every time you finish a level, which is annoying because it makes the loading times between levels take a few more seconds than it really should, and it kind of sucks like that. So yeah, you can see that there's global leaderboards for every level. There's also friend leaderboards. So that's nice. You've got settings, which is your music, your sound effects, and you can come here to change your sensitivity and turning on constant rotation if you're aiming, but I would not recommend that. And the aim sensitivity, even at the level I've got it at right now, is still a bit high. So maybe putting it down a little bit is a good idea. This is around the default. It starts out pretty low, but you can crank it up if you really want to. Now comes the really interesting bit. So, this game has this weird system where it can detect where you are, more or less, or at least where you get your IP address from the internet from. And it can be like, hey, you live in Sydney, what's the weather like in Sydney right now? Well, it's during the day and it's nice and clear, so we're gonna base all your levels around that. It can also do the same for rain, and it can also do the same for night. So there's 4 different combinations of levels you can be playing at any one time. There's also this thing you've got called a time machine that you can see the usage of in the top right, or should I say the fact that I've already used it and it doesn't recharge. So you can't actually set the time of day or the weather manually more than once or twice, which is kind of disappointing actually, because considering that you'd have to play the game at night and during rain in a place that you might not even be in order to see all the levels naturally, that's a bit of a problem. So yeah, you can see my latitude and longitude, but that's probably not even close to where I am. It uses a similar sort of thing like Near does to determine your location. This is not where I live, by the way. I don't live in Sydney. It would be nice if I did. That would mean I could actually go play some board games with people. But no, I do not live in Sydney. So, as I said before, I'm not going to be able to show off how the time machine actually modifies the levels, or just time in general modifies the levels. But I did manage to play one level in both night and day mode. And the day mode was just a regular level, but the night mode filled the entire level with giant hornet nests. So the two levels played entirely differently. So when they say that the game's got 120 different levels scattered across its 30 individual ones, I believe them, because changing that level to be nothing but hornet catching changed the makeup of the level significantly. So the game's got 30 levels, and I've been through about 15 of them at this point, maybe a bit more. Yeah, just about 15's about right, and that's been about 2 hours. So generally, if you want to finish all the levels, it'll take you about 4, but if you actually want to go and see what all the levels are like, it'll take anywhere up to like 12, I can imagine. So let's just go into the sewing room, shall we? Every set of levels is based around a theme, but it's a bit of a thin theme, more or less. You know, it's just a general what you expect to find in this area sort of thing. It's not like it really intertwines or anything. Not that much, anyway. Loading times aren't great. I mean, that wasn't a particularly bad one, but they can get really obnoxious later on. Like the stage inside the windmill, for example, just buggers the hell up. Like, seriously. It is just an insane, it's an insane load time, that one. But anyway. So we are the spider. What can the spider do? Well, he can jump and he can start spinning silk. You have a limited amount of silk, and you need at least 3 silk to form a web. So let's see if I can actually form one. However, you can't actually form a web if you jump too far. But there we go. I just formed one. Now, if I just form another one here, the analog stick controls take a little bit to get used to, I gotta say. Now, if I just... whoops, I did not mean to jump there. Now, if I just form one like this, I think... Yeah, there's one. So we've created a 3-sided web here, and we can now use this 3-sided web if I can stop jumping all over the place. There we go. Now we can use that 3-sided web as a sort of staging ground for our next web. So there we go. Now the idea is that you want to get the bugs to wander into your web, like so. Once they wander into your web, you can eat them and you get extra silk uses for them. So we can go around looking for a particularly good set of bugs to trap, like this, for example. So if I just go like, say, this. There we go. I can eat these now. And that's the general idea. You get a score every time you eat bugs. Obviously you get points. And these points... Oh dear. Thankfully some of the bugs are actually smart enough to avoid your web, which means you actually have to be clever about trapping them. The question is, I'm not entirely sure how I can trap that bug. Thankfully, you don't have to actually trap every bug in the entire level in order to successfully finish it. So that's a good start. You just need to do about... Well, it changes every level, but it's about 50 to 60%. So that's certainly a thing. Now, if I just time this right... Well, there's one. Good enough. Yeah, it's about 50 to 60%. So as I was saying before about the multipliers, the idea is, as long as you don't touch solid ground while you're eating bugs, you'll keep your score multiplier. There's also bugs that you can, for lack of a better word, tackle. I'm pretty sure they actually use the word tackle as a thing in this game. But if you tackle them successfully, you'll eat them as well, and they have a different multiplier that just expires after 10 seconds. Also, the controls tend to reverse when you go into a new room. So, as we can see, there's a sort of secret room going on up here. So we just need to find a way to eat as many of these bugs as possible, more or less. It's really twitchy, is what I found. Like, even on the lower sensitivity settings, this game can be really tricky to get a hang of. Just because it's one of those sorts of games where they try to focus on precision and score attack. But yeah, as you can see, you just run around like a fucking maniac. There is also a, what's the word I'm looking for? There is also a timer going on in the background. You can't see it, but there is a timer. And the best idea is to try and, you know, obviously get the levels done as quickly as possible. There we go. There are also some bugs that can only be trapped via the use of a strong web, which is a square web with very straight edges. So you do need to be, and there are some other bugs that'll be like, they'll make an effort to avoid you. We just found a clue, so that's probably the solution to the puzzle that, that's probably the solution to the puzzle that the game is presenting. The question is, I don't know how it's relevant to anything. Because as I said before, all the areas have their own different unique puzzles, that's actually a really neat idea. It's a really cool idea, actually, because you can, they just hide all these different mysteries, and there's all these secrets to go find, and there's all sorts of just neat stuff to do in these levels. So if you're not particularly a fan of trying to score attack, you can go around trying to solve the mysteries. That's a really neat idea, actually. So we get a final score, we get a rank. The rank, I think, is just like your typical letter system. They've got Searcher, they've got Knight, they've got Keeper. So there's a bunch of different ranks you can get, and it all depends on your score, I think. But I think it may also depend on how fast you catch insects and stuff like that, you know. I don't think it's reliant on your time as much as your score, but there you go. So yeah, we found a clue. And that was one of the barn clues, wasn't it? So yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to do in this one, actually. There's a neat set of stuff. Gargoyles. Neat. So let's go have a look at that. So you've got the ability to score attack. You've got 4 different levels for 4 different time periods. I guess I can understand why they don't want to let you play every level in every time period, because that would mean you just wear out the game way too fast. And I guess it kind of makes sense. You don't want people to burn themselves out. And of course, you've got all the secrets to find. You've got clues. And obviously, you can just get better at the game in general, really. That's probably the final clue. I'm not entirely sure what that has to do with anything, but I'm sure we can find out at some point. Let's see if I can make a big-ass web here. Just tackled that poor fly without even seeing him. You can do an absolute, like, ton of different, like, tackles and stuff like that. And there are enemies that can hurt you, and there are levels where you are actually in danger of dying. Because that is indeed a thing. Because, yeah, there are levels with, like, moving gimmicks and stuff like that, where I'll actually show one of those off next. And, well, actually, no, I won't, because it'll take me fucking ages to complete the level, because it took me ages to complete it last time. But, nevertheless. As you can see, there are enemies that are just absolute dicks. And if you run out of silk, you're given a limited amount of time to eat something, which actually kind of sucks. Because if you've used all your silk, that means you can't really get another spiderweb going. So you just have to hope that an enemy goes and just blunders. I'll finish the level because you've seen this entire level already. Probably a secret or two hidden in there somewhere, but there's yeah, as I was saying, you just have to hope that they run into your web in order to actually stop you from dying. And once you die, you have to start the whole level over again, which isn't that big a deal considering most of the levels are anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes long. Possibly longer, but you know, it's not really that big of a deal. Annoyingly, it takes a little bit longer to get through these load screens because of, it has to check the weather every time instead of being like, hey, we've got your weather as this right now. We'll check back in like an hour or something like that. So yeah, let's go to a... Oh, that was actually the final mansion level. So we can go to the tower, we can go to the grounds. I think we'll go to the grounds. So, we might as well talk about the port. The port is not great. I mean, it runs fine for the most part, but there are points where the frame rate can drop really suddenly. And there are also things like, there are some bugs that can happen, and I mean in the computer sense, not the literal sense. The best bug I found was the... Well, I'm not entirely sure how to explain it, but basically, I made the game bug the fuck out. Like, I managed to find an area where I could make an absolute ton of, I managed to make an absolute ton of webs in exactly the same spot, and the game just freaking died. Like, when the frame rate dropped to 0, I got like 4 trophies at once that I really shouldn't have been able to. And I had to reset the game because the frame rate had literally dropped to 0. Funnily enough, the music and stuff was still working fine. It was just, yeah, it was just the sound for some reason. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but there you go. Alright, you don't catch these bastards via... That guy just fell right through the freaking painting there, and... What's the bet I can't get? Oh, no, there we go, I actually got him. Thankfully, these guys do give you silk. So yeah, I managed to make the game just absolutely die, and I had to reset the game, and it was kind of hilarious, actually. If I can remember what level I did it on, I think I can. If I remember what level I did it on, I'll go and do it just to end off the video, just for something fun to do. Like, for the most part, the game's fine. It's just the frame rate tends to drop in some surprisingly annoying ways. Which is unfortunate. This is a cricket, by the way. What do crickets do? They jump. See? I gotta admit, though, when you get it down and you get your web spinning right and you can trap 5 insects in the same web, it's pretty damn satisfying to do. These things look like they can move. They do not fit in with the background whatsoever. Hey, there's a couple of butterflies up here and a giant-ass fly. Now, that giant-ass fly, I'm like 99% positive it's one of the ones I have to make a strong web for. So, let's see if I can do that. And the bugs do have different behaviors even in the different times of day. So, it's like, for example, the butterflies at night, for the most part, sleep unless you actively try to wake them up. Via, like, running into them or something like that. Unless you engage them with lots of light, like a big lamp or something like that. Right? Damn, it's not a strong web. Yeah, it requires either a strong web or a... Oh, great. I don't have enough thread. I guess I'll just have to move along and hope I can find some more things to eat that won't require me to spin a web. And controls. So yeah, if you like turn on the light, or if there's a light on or something like that, it means that the butterflies and stuff like that just go freaking crazy. Like, absolutely nutso. And they just tend to, Oh, hey. There was actually a butterfly stuck in there. Yeah, you've seen enough of this level, so I'll just go to the end of it. Why not? So yeah, it's a really neat idea. And it turns into a pretty neat, like, score attacking style game in the sort of sense of, like, you can play the level through and get it done just fine without really putting too much effort into it. But if you really want to start score attacking, you really have to get serious, which is, it's nice when those sorts of games exist. And it's also got this nice little thing about having these different mysteries that you can solve with all these different clues. And the game, outside of its performance issues and stuff, actually looks really nice. So it's a neat little thing. And it's available on the PlayStation Store right now. Price, I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me go check the PlayStation Store on my second Vita. That won't take long. And we'll make this the final level too, because I'm pretty sure I'm working on a ticking clock here. I'm pretty sure I'm waiting for... Well, not me, but someone in this house is waiting for someone to show up. So, let's just get this level done. Another freaking cricket. Lost connection to PlayStation now. Oh yeah, that's probably because I had to sign into my other Vita. Right. So let's teach this cricket a lesson it won't forget. Motherfucker! Alright, yeah, I'm not very good at this game, if you couldn't tell. Did not mean to spin that web. There we go. I'll eat you now. Right. There's a hornet. They're dangerous. If they actually hit you with the business end of their stinger, it will actually, like, take some of your web away. So, you don't want that. You really don't. Yeah. Little bit of trouble getting my web spun here. That's more like it. I get 2 extra strands from that, so I should be able to do this. Nope, that didn't work. Little bit bugged out here. Alright, hang on. That'll do it. No, it won't! $7.99 on PlayStation Plus. It'll be $2 more expensive next week. For that, it's not bad. I mean, it's a bit weird and a bit fiddly and a bit... Well, the performance isn't fantastic. But I really don't have that much of a problem with it. It's a neat little game. And it's cheap. Like, I mean, if they were charging 20-something bucks for it, I'd be a bit more skeptical. There we go. Son of a gun. And the secrets, with the secrets to find and the, you know, the score attacking to be done and the mysteries to solve and all that, the game's got a lot of content for what it is, especially since you can play every level in 4 different ways. And I do mean that in 4 different ways because, I mean, I've seen one level, sure, so it's not entirely, representative of what they, not entirely representative of what they've done, but at the same time, you know, if one level is so different, I have no reason to believe the other levels aren't entirely different either, so yeah, it's neat. Let's go have a look around the rest of this level. I won't go straight to the end this time. If I just aim this here, that's okay. Web and web. Bloody crocodile head in a glass jar with a... What is this supposed to be? Alright. What is this? Honest to God, what is this? This makes absolutely no sense. Never mind. Never mind. I'll just hurt myself if I think about it too hard. So let's just go and find the portal. Should have known it would be there. I'm aware that I have to be connected to the PlayStation Network. Thank you. So let me go look up that level that you can bug the hell out, and I'll see if I can get it to bug out again. There was actually a patch that fixed a few minor bugs, apparently, that I haven't been playing through with, but we'll see if I can still do it anyway. I think... I think it was the courtyard level. I might be wrong. No, it was this level. Alright, let's do this. So, if I remember correctly, I come up here, and then I just hit square, circle a bunch of times. Yep, there it goes. And the funny thing is, this actually gets your points, because it makes an absolute ton of webs in the same space, and this just makes the game bug out horrendously. I didn't even get a few extra frames after this. I just... Like, don't ask how I did this, by the way. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I thought this whole, like, roof here was just, like, something you could pass right through. But I guess it wasn't. So, yeah, that's how you want to bug out this game if you want to have some fun with it. Also, it's a great way to get the, square web trophy. So, there you go. So, bit weird to end off a video of me purposefully crashing a game, but there you go. So, this game's alright. Like, it's not going to appeal to everyone, but the score attacking combined with the mystery solving and the fact that every level basically has 4 different variations on the same theme means that it's got a lot of replay value, and it's got a bunch of stuff to do in the background that doesn't rely on replay value. The port's not fantastic, as you can tell here, but it works for what it is, more or less, and I have no real arguments against it, and I'm not going to say that it's not worth the $8 or $10 that it'll be depending on the time you buy this. So, yeah, there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and it fixed itself. Didn't fix itself last time. I'll see you all next time.